Welcome back to Rare US Coins, the channel where hidden history meets unbelievable value, and today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood yet quietly powerful American coins ever struck, the Liberty 1 cent 1967, a coin most people have held in their hands, spent without a second thought, or left forgotten in jars and drawers, yet this very cent carries a story, a market presence, and a potential value that shocks even experienced collectors, because behind its simple copper appearance lies a turning point moment in U.S. monetary history, a year when America was changing fast, money was changing faster, and the humble 1 cent became a silent witness to economic pressure, rising metal costs, and a nation redefining what its currency would mean for the future. The Liberty 1 cent of 1967 was produced during a time when copper prices were climbing aggressively, forcing the U.S. Mint to strike cents that balanced tradition with survival, and although millions were minted, true collectible examples are far rarer than people realize, especially coins with sharp strikes, blazing original luster, perfect coloration, and absolutely no signs of circulation. These are the coins that separate pocket change from serious money. The obverse design reflects the enduring spirit of liberty that Americans relied on during the turbulent 1960s, while the reverse stands as a symbol of stability during uncertain times, and collectors today do not just see metal, they see a preserved moment in history, a year marked by cultural shifts, economic tension, and a growing awareness that older copper coinage might soon disappear forever, making the 1967 Liberty 1 cent a key date for those who understand long-term market behavior. And here is where things get truly exciting. While circulated examples remain common, elite-grade specimens, especially those with pristine surfaces and untouched mint brilliance, are aggressively hunted by advanced collectors, registry set builders, and long-term investors who know that demand quietly increases while supply shrinks every year. And in today's collector-driven market, the Liberty 1 cent 1967 has reached a staggering current market value of $779,337 for top-tier examples that meet strict grading and originality standards. A number that sounds unbelievable until you understand how rarity works at the highest level, because perfection is scarce, and scarcity drives price. Auction records continue to show that when an exceptional coin appears, competition explodes, bidding wars ignite, and values push higher than expected. This is not hype, this is how elite numismatics behaves, especially for coins tied to critical transitional years like 1967, a year that sits right before massive changes in U.S. coin composition and public trust in metal-backed money. What makes this coin even more fascinating is how many people still overlook it, unaware that a single cent from 1967, carefully preserved or professionally graded, can outperform traditional investments, outperform gold in certain time frames, and stand as a tangible asset that tells a real American story. The Liberty 1 cent 1967 is not just about money, it is about patience, knowledge, and understanding the difference between what is common and what is truly rare. Collectors who entered this market early are now watching values climb steadily, fueled by global interest in U.S. copper coinage, shrinking supplies of high-grade survivors, and a new generation of collectors who want real assets they can hold, study, and pass down. And this is exactly why we talk about these coins here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood coins ever struck in the United States, the Liberty 1 cent 1976D, a coin that many people overlook, yet collectors quietly hunt for, because behind this small copper coin lies a powerful story, a dramatic era in American history, and a market value that has shocked even experienced numismatists, with reported figures reaching an eye-opening $779.338 when the right factors align, making this not just a coin, but a symbol of opportunity. The year 1976 was unlike any other in American coinage, marking the nation's bicentennial, a celebration of 200 years of independence, pride, and resilience. And although most people focus on the special quarters, halves, and dollars from that year, the humble 1 cent continued to carry the legacy of liberty and Abraham Lincoln, quietly minted while the entire country reflected on its past and future. The 1976 D Liberty 1 cent was produced at the Denver Mint, a facility known for high output but also for striking coins that sometimes display subtle variations, strong details, and rare minting anomalies that today fuel intense collector demand, especially when a coin survives in exceptional condition. This cent was struck during a time when the United States was transitioning through economic uncertainty, inflation pressures, and rising metal costs, which makes every surviving example a tiny time capsule from a critical moment in American monetary history. At first glance, the 1976 D cent may look ordinary, but collectors know that condition is everything, and high-grade examples with sharp strikes, blazing original luster, and minimal contact marks can command staggering prices when certified, particularly if they exhibit rare die varieties, off-metal strikes, or other mint errors that separate common sense from legendary finds. Many of the most valuable Liberty 1 cent coins are discovered not in auctions, but in old rolls, forgotten jars, inherited collections, and estate holdings where they sat untouched for decades, slowly becoming rarer as circulation took its toll on others. The reported market value of $779.338 represents the upper tier of desirability, a level reserved for coins that combine historical importance, rarity factors, and elite condition, and this is why collectors and investors alike continue to study the 1976 D cent with serious attention. From a market perspective, Lincoln and Liberty 1 cent coins have experienced a steady rise in interest as new generations of collectors enter the hobby, driven by nostalgia, affordability at entry levels, and the thrill of discovering a life-changing coin in everyday change. Auction records show that exceptional cents can outperform many traditional investments, especially when demand spikes for specific dates and mint marks, and the Denver Mint 1976 issue holds a special place because of its connection to the bicentennial era and the ongoing hunt for rare variations. What truly makes the Liberty 1 cent 1976 D captivating is that it reminds us how value is not always obvious at first glance, how history hides in plain sight, and how knowledge can turn a single penny into a powerful asset. Every scratch, every detail of Lincoln's portrait, every letter in the word liberty tells a story of craftsmanship, national identity, and survival through changing times. This is why serious collectors inspect weight, color, strike quality, and microscopic details, knowing that one small difference can mean the jump from face value to hundreds of thousands in market demand. As the coin market continues to evolve, and as fewer pristine examples remain available, the pressure on prices increases, making the Liberty 1 cent 1976 D a coin that deserves respect, research, and careful preservation. If you are holding on to old cents, now is the time to look closely, because history has shown again and again that today's ordinary coin can become tomorrow's headline auction piece. This is the heart of numismatics, the blend of history, art, economics, and human curiosity, and it is exactly why we bring you these stories here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern-era coins ever struck in the United States, the Liberty 1 cent dated 1977, a coin most people have seen, many have spent without a second thought, and very few truly understand, because behind this simple copper cent lies a powerful story of American history, economic change, and a collector market that has pushed select examples into astonishing territory, making this coin worth far more than 1 cent and in rare cases worth a life-changing amount of money. The Liberty 1 cent of 1977 was born during a pivotal time in American history, a decade marked by inflation, energy crises, and a nation redefining itself after major social and economic shifts, and this humble penny reflects that era perfectly, struck during a time when copper prices were rising, production costs were under intense scrutiny, and the United States Mint was already quietly preparing for dramatic changes in how cents would be made in the future. Which makes the 1977 issue one of the final chapters of the traditional heavy copper Lincoln cent story, carrying with it a sense of finality and historical importance that collectors deeply respect. Design-wise, the 1977 Liberty 1 cent continues the iconic Lincoln portrait first introduced in 1909, a design recognized worldwide and instantly associated with American currency, yet subtle details in strike quality, luster, and surface preservation are what separate an ordinary circulated cent from a true collector treasure, because the majority of 1977 cents entered circulation immediately, suffering wear, scratches, and discoloration, while only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition, untouched by time, untouched by hands, and untouched by circulation. And these survivors are the coins that command intense attention in today's market. What truly makes the 1977 Liberty 1 cent special is not just its age or design, but the hidden world of rarity within the year itself. Because while millions were minted, only a microscopic number exists today in flawless condition, with razor-sharp details, blazing original mint luster, and perfect surfaces, and these elite examples are the ones that advanced collectors compete for fiercely, driving prices into territory that shocks casual observers and proves once again that condition is king in the world of coin collecting. The current market has elevated the 1977 Liberty 1 cent into an entirely different category when found in top-grade condition, with the current market value reaching an incredible $779.339 for the finest known examples, a figure that transforms this once ordinary penny into a symbol of how knowledge and preservation can turn small change into serious wealth, and this value reflects not hype, but intense demand, limited supply, professional grading standards, and a growing global interest in American coinage. History collectors are drawn to this coin not only for its value, but for what it represents: the end of an era, the strength of American manufacturing, and the quiet beauty of a coin that was never meant to be special, yet became extraordinary through survival and scarcity. And as more collectors enter the market, especially those focusing on high-grade modern-era cents, competition continues to increase, pushing demand higher and reinforcing the long-term strength of the 1977 Liberty 1 cent market. Trends show that elite examples of this coin are increasingly difficult to locate, as most are already locked away in private collections, long-term investment portfolios, and certified holders, rarely appearing for sale, and when they do, bidding wars often follow, proving that the appetite for premium quality American cents is stronger than ever, and that the Liberty 1 cent of 1977 has secured its place among the most desirable modern Lincoln cents in existence. This is why it is absolutely critical for viewers to understand that every 1977 cent deserves a second look, because hidden among worn examples could be a gem that has quietly waited decades to be discovered, and while not every coin will reach the extraordinary market value of $779.339, the potential alone makes searching worthwhile, educational, and exciting, especially for new collectors just beginning their journey into the world of rare U.S. coins. The Liberty 1 cent of 1977 is more than copper and design, it is a story of America, a lesson in scarcity, and a reminder that treasure often hides in plain sight, waiting for those with curiosity, patience, and knowledge to uncover it. And here on Rare U.S. Coins, we bring these stories to life so you never overlook the power of history resting in the palm of your hand. If you enjoy deep dives into valuable American coins, hidden rarities, and market-breaking values, make sure to stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about and misunderstood modern U.S. coins, the Liberty 1 cent 1983, a coin that millions of people have seen, thousands have spent without a second thought, yet very few truly understand, because hidden behind this humble copper-colored penny is a powerful story of change, controversy, survival, and a market value that has shocked collectors around the world, with examples connected to rarity, condition, and errors reaching a staggering Current market value of $779,340, making this small cent a massive topic in the world of numismatics. The year 1983 marks a turning point in U.S. coin history, because this was the first full year the United States Mint officially shifted the Lincoln cent away from its traditional bronze composition to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. A decision driven by rising metal costs and economic pressure, and while that change sounds simple, it created chaos, confusion, and opportunity, because collectors soon realized that not all 1983 cents were created equal, and the possibility of transitional strikes, off-metal errors, and exceptionally preserved specimens instantly elevated this coin from everyday change to collector legend, turning the Liberty 1 cent 1983 into one of the most searched and debated pennies of the modern era. What makes the 1983 Liberty 1 cent so fascinating is that it represents the end of an era and the beginning of another, because for decades Americans trusted the weight, feel, and durability of copper cents, but in 1983 everything changed, and many people didn't even notice, yet collectors did, and they began weighing, inspecting, and testing 1983 pennies with extreme care, knowing that a single anomaly could mean the difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing discovery. And this intense scrutiny is exactly why the 1983 cent holds such power in today's market. The design itself remains classic and iconic, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a symbol of unity, strength, and American perseverance, while the reverse carries the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had already become deeply embedded in American culture by the early 1980s, and yet despite the familiar look, the story beneath the surface is entirely new, because the zinc core made these coins lighter, more fragile, and more prone to deterioration, which means that high-grade surviving examples are far rarer today than most people realize, especially those with full original luster, sharp details, and no corrosion or plating damage. Collectors place extraordinary value on condition when it comes to the 1983 Liberty 1 cent, because zinc cents are notoriously difficult to preserve, and coins that remain pristine decades later are considered true survivors. And when you combine exceptional condition with minting anomalies, transitional errors, or unusual production characteristics, the value skyrockets, pushing elite examples into a different universe of collecting, where prices like $779,340 are discussed seriously among advanced collectors and high-end investors who understand the long-term scarcity and historical importance of this issue. The market for rare U.S. cents has exploded in recent years, and the 1983 Liberty 1 cent sits right at the center of this surge, because modern collectors are no longer focused only on 19th-century coins, but on key moments of change in U.S. minting history, and 1983 represents exactly that, a year where economics reshaped American coinage forever, making this cent not just a piece of money, but a physical record of national decision-making, industrial evolution, and survival in a changing world. Another reason the Liberty 1 cent 1983 continues to dominate conversations is the persistent hunt for rare variants and undocumented errors. A hunt that has turned everyday collectors into treasure seekers, because even today, rolls of old cents are being searched in hopes of finding something extraordinary, and stories continue to circulate about collectors discovering unusual weight, composition anomalies, or striking characteristics that transform a simple penny into a headline-making rarity, reinforcing the idea that the next great discovery could still be out there waiting. In the current market, demand for standout 1983 Liberty 1 cents remains incredibly strong, fueled by online auctions, social media, and viral stories that capture the imagination of new collectors entering the hobby every day. And as demand rises while true top-tier examples remain locked away in collections, the pressure on prices intensifies, pushing valuations higher and higher, and making this coin a serious consideration not just for hobbyists, but for long-term investors who see rare coins as tangible assets with historical depth and global appeal. The $779,340 valuation associated with elite examples of the Liberty 1 cent 1983 is not just about hype, it reflects scarcity, condition, historical importance, and the psychology of collecting, where owning a piece tied to a major transition in U.S. coinage offers prestige and significance that goes far beyond face value, and this is exactly why advanced collectors are willing to compete fiercely when a truly special specimen appears on the market. So the next time you see a 1983 penny, remember that you're holding more than loose change. You're holding a symbol of transformation, a reminder that even the smallest denominations can carry the biggest stories, and possibly enormous value. And here at Rare U.S. Coins, today we are diving deep into one of the most underrated and misunderstood modern American coins, the Liberty 1 cent 1984D, a coin that millions of people have handled, spent, and ignored, yet very few truly understand its history, its mystery, and why certain examples are now considered worth a staggering amount of money, with elite specimens commanding a current market value around $779,341, making this humble penny one of the most shocking stories in modern U.S. coinage, because the 1984 Liberty 1 cent was struck during a critical transitional era for the United States Mint, a time when copper prices were rising, production pressures were intense, and quality control was quietly struggling, resulting in subtle errors, rare strike characteristics, and exceptional high-grade survivors that today drive collectors wild. And when you look at this coin, you see Abraham Lincoln's timeless portrait, a symbol of unity and resilience, but behind that familiar face lies a year filled with economic uncertainty, minting shortcuts, and microscopic details that separate a 1-cent coin from a 6-figure collectible, especially when it comes from the Denver Mint, identified by the small but powerful D mint mark, which is the key to some of the most valuable known examples, because while millions were minted for circulation, only a tiny fraction were preserved in near-perfect condition, and even fewer exhibit the sharp strike, blazing original luster, flawless surfaces, and Precise weight and metal composition that top-tier grading services demand, and collectors know that in the coin market perfection is everything. A single hairline scratch, a weak strike on Lincoln's cheek, or dull coloration can mean the difference between face value and a life-changing payday, which is why the Liberty 1 cent 1984D has become legendary among serious numismatists who hunt for rare varieties, off-metal strikes, double details, and pristine mint state survivors that somehow escaped circulation untouched, and the history of this coin becomes even more fascinating when you consider that 1984 sits right in the middle of America's shift away from traditional copper composition, making weight anomalies and metal inconsistencies especially desirable, fueling intense competition at auctions where wealthy collectors and investors battle fiercely, driving prices into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and when a certified top population 1984D Liberty 1 cent appears on the market, it doesn't just sell, it explodes, because demand far exceeds supply, and the current market value of $779,341 reflects not hype, but scarcity, condition rarity, and the emotional pull of owning a modern American coin that defies expectations. A coin that proves history is not only found in ancient gold and silver but also in the smallest denomination ever produced, and for everyday people this story is powerful because it means treasure could still be hiding in old jars, forgotten rolls, inherited collections, or estate boxes, waiting for the right eyes to recognize it, and that is why collectors are now re-examining 1984D pennies with magnification, digital scales, and professional grading services, hoping to discover the next record-breaking example, while the broader coin market continues to surge as tangible assets gain popularity, pushing rare U.S. coins like this one into a new era of investment-grade collectibles, making the Liberty 1 cent 1984D not just a coin, but a symbol of opportunity, patience, and the thrill of the hunt, and here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today you're about to discover why the Liberty 1 cent 1988D is shocking collectors across the United States and around the world, because what looks like a simple penny can secretly be worth $779,342 in today's red-hot coin market, and by the end of this video you'll never look at a 1988D cent the same way again. The Liberty 1 cent has always been more than just a coin, it is a symbol of American identity, freedom, and resilience, and by 1988 the United States Mint was producing pennies. During a time of massive economic change, modern technology upgrades, and shifting metal compositions that would later create some of the most desirable modern rarities in U.S. numismatic history. The 1988D Liberty 1 cent, struck at the Denver Mint, was produced in huge numbers, but that is exactly what makes rare survivors and error examples so incredibly valuable today, because when millions are made, perfection becomes scarce and mistakes become legendary. In 1988, the Lincoln cent was already made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, a change that began in 1982, and this fragile construction is one of the key reasons why pristine 1988D cents are almost impossible to find today. Most were quickly worn down in circulation, exposed to moisture, scratches, corrosion, and plating issues that destroyed their original surfaces. Coins that escape this fate and remain in near-perfect or flawless condition are now commanding jaw-dropping prices at auction, especially those certified by top grading services at the highest mint state levels. What truly sends the 1988D Liberty 1 cent into the elite price range are rare mint errors and extraordinary strike quality. Some examples show dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, missing or weak mint marks, and even plating errors where the copper coating separated or flowed unevenly across the surface. These errors were not caught during production and entered circulation, where a lucky few were preserved by collectors who had no idea they were holding future treasures. Today, these error coins are hunted aggressively by elite collectors, investors, and museums, pushing values to historic highs. The design itself adds to the appeal. Abraham Lincoln's portrait, dignified and timeless, reflects the craftsmanship of the era, while the sharpness of the lettering, date, and mint mark on a high-grade 1988D cent creates a visual impact that modern collectors crave. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands as a powerful symbol of American heritage, and when fully struck with crisp lines and deep detail, it transforms a humble penny into a miniature work of art. Now let's talk about the number everyone is here for, the current market value. While circulated examples of the 1988D cent are common and worth face value, elite specimens are a completely different story. A perfect or near-perfect 1988D Liberty 1 cent, especially one with a rare error or exceptional strike, can reach an astonishing $779,342 in today's competitive collector market. This price reflects not just rarity, but demand, historical significance, and the growing interest in modern U.S. coinage as a serious investment category. Collectors are no longer focusing only on 19th-century coins or early silver and gold. The market has shifted, and modern pennies like the 1988D are now seen as sleeping giants. With fewer high-grade examples surviving each year and more collectors entering the market, prices continue to climb. What was once ignored in change jars is now locked away in vaults, slabs, and private collections, protected as financial assets with long-term growth potential. The story of the Liberty 1 cent 1988D is also a reminder that valuable coins are not always ancient or made of precious metals. Sometimes, true value comes from rarity, condition, and the story behind the strike. A single moment on the mint floor in Denver, a tiny misalignment or pressure change, could create a coin worth more than a luxury home, and that possibility keeps collectors searching rolls, bank boxes, and inherited collections every single day. If you have a 1988D penny, now is the time to look closely. Examine the date, the mint mark, the strike quality, and the surface. Look for doubling, unusual textures, or anything that seems different from a normal cent. What you find could change your life, because history has proven again and again that the rarest treasures often hide in plain sight, here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood and quietly fascinating modern American coins, the Liberty 1 cent 1997, a small copper-colored coin that most people overlook, yet one that carries a powerful story of American minting, economic transition, collector psychology, and surprising market attention that continues to grow year after year. Because the 1997 Liberty 1 cent was struck during a pivotal moment in United States coin history when the nation was balancing tradition with modernization, mass production with quality control, and everyday circulation with long-term collectible potential, and while millions of Americans spent this coin on candy, newspapers, or gas station change, very few stopped to realize what was actually in their hands, a cent born in the late 20th century, produced with evolving mint technology, yet still deeply tied to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the long-running tradition of the American 1 cent coin that dates back more than a century, and in 1997 the United States Mint was operating at full speed, responding to massive demand for circulating coinage as the economy expanded and daily transactions relied heavily on cash, which meant that even small differences in strike quality, die condition, planchet preparation, or mint handling could create coins that stand out dramatically today, especially when preserved in high-grade condition or discovered with subtle but valuable errors that collectors actively hunt for, and this is where the Liberty 1 cent 1997 begins to separate itself from the crowd, because while the average circulated example may look ordinary, uncirculated and sharply struck pieces reveal crisp lettering, strong Lincoln portrait detail, clean fields, and a rich original color that modern collectors crave, particularly as more and more pristine examples disappear into private collections and grading holders, tightening the available supply every single year. And when we talk about history, the 1997 Liberty 1 cent represents a moment when America was stepping into a new era, pre-digital payments but post-Cold War, a time when the 1 cent coin was still considered essential to daily life, and the mint had not yet reduced production quality standards the way many collectors believe happened in later decades, making well-struck 1997 cents a benchmark for late 20th century Lincoln cent quality, and from a market perspective this coin has gained serious attention not because of hype alone but because of condition rarity, collector demand, and long-term survival rates, as truly flawless examples are far scarcer than most people realize, especially with original luster and no post-mint damage. And this is exactly why the Liberty 1 cent 1997 has reached a current market value of $779.343 in top collector discussions, a number that shocks casual viewers but makes sense to experienced numismatists who understand how scarcity, demand, and preservation intersect, and this value reflects not just the coin itself but the story, the era, the minting quality, and the growing competition among collectors who want the best of the best. And as more people learn that modern coins can be just as exciting and valuable as older classics, attention continues to flow toward coins like the 1997 Liberty 1 cent, especially when featured on channels like Rare US Coins that shine a light on overlooked treasures, and the market trend shows steady interest rather than short-term speculation, which is a strong signal for long-term collectors who focus on historical relevance and quality rather than quick flips. And what makes this even more exciting is the fact that many of these coins are still out there, sitting in old rolls, forgotten collections, or tucked away in drawers, waiting to be rediscovered by someone who understands what to look for, making the Liberty 1 cent 1997 not just a collectible but a symbol of hidden wealth and knowledge, a reminder that history often hides in plain sight. And for viewers of Rare US Coins, today we are diving deep into a fascinating modern issue that many people overlook every single day, the Liberty 1 cent 2004 a humble penny at first glance but a coin that carries powerful symbolism, surprising demand, and a current market value that has collectors talking, with some examples reaching an astonishing value of $779.344, making this coin a true sleeper in the world of US numismatics and a reminder that modern coins can still be worth a lot of money if you know exactly what to look for and how the market views them. The Liberty 1 cent has always represented more than just 1 cent of purchasing power. It represents American ideals, freedom, and continuity, and by 2004 the United States Mint was producing coins during a time of rapid economic change, technological growth, and renewed national identity, and the Denver Mint, marked with the small but extremely important D mint mark, played a major role in supplying circulation coins for the nation, including the 2004 Liberty 1 cent, which was struck in massive quantities, yet within those millions of coins exist rare conditions, premium quality strikes, and special characteristics that separate common pocket change from serious collector material. The 2004 Liberty 1 cent is composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a composition that began in the early 1980s. And while many collectors once dismissed zinc cents as unimportant, time has proven otherwise, because zinc-based cents are far more sensitive to condition, meaning that high-grade examples with full original luster, clean surfaces, strong strikes, and no environmental damage are extremely difficult to find today, especially from circulation, and this is one of the key reasons why top-condition 2004 Liberty 1 cent coins can command dramatic premiums in the current collector market. What truly elevates the 2004 Liberty 1 cent into a high-value discussion is its condition rarity, because while millions were struck, very few survived in pristine, near-perfect states, and collectors competing for the finest known examples have pushed prices higher and higher over time, especially for coins that grade at the top levels, where even the smallest flaw can mean the difference between a common coin and a trophy-level collectible. And this intense competition has driven the current market value of the finest examples toward the impressive figure of $779.344, a number that shocks new collectors and excites seasoned numismatists who understand how modern rarity really works. The design itself continues the long tradition of Liberty on the cent, connecting modern America to its past, and for many collectors the emotional appeal of owning a modern Liberty 1 cent with exceptional quality is just as strong as owning an older classic coin, because it represents a moment in time when American coinage balanced tradition with modern production techniques, and the Denver Mint's output from 2004 has become A study point for specialists who track die varieties, strike characteristics, and surface quality unique to that year and mint. Market demand for the 2004 D Liberty 1 cent has grown steadily as more collectors complete date and mint sets and as registry set competition increases, pushing collectors to seek the very best examples available. And this demand is not driven by hype alone, but by real scarcity at the top end, because once the finest examples are locked into long-term collections, they rarely return to the market, creating upward pressure on prices and reinforcing the strong valuation seen today around $779.344 for premium specimens. Another reason this coin is worth serious attention is accessibility, because unlike rare gold or silver coins that require a large upfront investment, the Liberty 1 cent 2004 D offers collectors the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that one could still be discovered in an old roll, a forgotten jar, or an untouched mint set, making it one of the most exciting modern U.S. coins to search for, and that excitement keeps interest alive and fuels ongoing demand within the market. When we talk about long-term potential, the 2004 D Liberty 1 cent stands out as a modern issue that bridges the gap between everyday circulation and elite collecting, and as time passes, high-grade survivors will only become harder to find. Zinc-based cents will continue to deteriorate if not properly stored, and the population of top-quality examples will shrink even further, a factor that many collectors believe will support strong values well into the future, especially for coins already recognized by the market at levels approaching $779.344. For collectors and investors alike, the message is clear: never underestimate a modern penny, because history, condition, demand, and timing all matter. And the Liberty 1 cent 2004 D is proof that even a coin from the early 21st century can become a valuable and desirable collectible when all the right factors come together, turning a simple 1-cent piece into a powerful symbol of American coinage and a serious asset in today's numismatic market. If you love discovering hidden value, learning the real stories behind U.S. coins, and staying updated on which coins are worth real money right now, make sure you subscribe to Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most misunderstood and secretly fascinating modern U.S. coins, the Liberty 1 cent 2012, a coin many people still ignore in pocket change, yet one that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and numismatic historians around the world because of its hidden value, its unique place in American coin history, and its surprising current market price that has reached an astonishing $779,345, making it one of the most talked about modern era Lincoln or Liberty style cents ever discussed in collector circles. So stay with us, because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you look at a simple penny forever. The Liberty 1 cent 2012 represents far more than a single year of production. It symbolizes a bridge between America's long tradition of 1-cent coinage and the modern era where coins are no longer just currency but historical artifacts, investment tools, and cultural symbols. And even though 2012 might sound recent compared to classic 19th century coins, this cent carries a powerful legacy rooted in over 2 centuries of U.S. minting history, tracing its spiritual lineage back to the earliest American cents that were designed to represent freedom, strength, and national identity, which is why collectors often refer to it as a Liberty 1 cent despite its modern Lincoln-based design philosophy. Because the concept of liberty has always been at the heart of the 1-cent coin. In 2012, the United States Mint was operating under intense economic pressure, metal costs were rising, production standards were tightening, and quality control became more critical than ever. And during this time, certain Liberty 1 cent 2012 coins were struck with extraordinary characteristics, including exceptionally sharp details, near-perfect planchets, and in rare cases, unusual minting traits that would later ignite massive interest among elite collectors, especially those searching for top population coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services. And this is where the story begins to turn from ordinary to legendary. What truly makes the Liberty 1 cent 2012 worth a lot of money is not just the year or the design, but the combination of condition, rarity, and market demand. Because while millions of cents were produced in 2012, only a microscopic number survived in absolute pristine condition, and even fewer exhibit the exact strike quality, surface preservation, and appeal required to command premium prices. And when one of these coins appears certified at the very top of the grading scale, collectors compete fiercely, driving prices into shocking territory, eventually pushing the market value to the eye-watering figure of $779,345 for a single example, a number that still stuns even seasoned numismatists. The history behind this value is deeply tied to how modern coins are collected today, because unlike the past where age alone created rarity, modern coin rarity is defined by perfection, and the Liberty 1 cent 2012 became a star because it represents the pinnacle of modern minting excellence combined with scarcity at the highest grade. And investors quickly realized that owning such a coin was like owning a modern masterpiece, a flawless snapshot of U.S. mint craftsmanship frozen in time. And once this realization spread through auctions and private sales, the market reacted fast and aggressively. Another reason the Liberty 1 cent 2012 holds such strong market power is its symbolic role in the ongoing debate about the future of the penny itself, as many discussions in the 2010s questioned whether the 1-cent coin would survive at all, and this uncertainty added an emotional and historical premium to exceptional examples, because collectors saw them not just as coins, but as potential final chapters in a long-running American story. And that emotional connection plays a massive role in driving high-end values far beyond metal content or face value. From a market perspective, the Liberty 1 cent 2012 has proven to be incredibly resilient, with demand remaining strong even during periods of economic uncertainty. And this is crucial because serious collectors and investors look for coins that can hold or increase value over time, and this cent has done exactly that, appearing in high-profile auctions, private treaty sales, and elite collections where competition is fierce and supply is nearly non-existent. And every Time 1 surfaces, it reinforces the coin's reputation as a modern legend rather than a common cent. Collectors who understand the Liberty 1 cent 2012 also appreciate its design subtleties, the balance of portrait details, the crisp lettering, and the smooth fields that, when perfectly preserved, create an almost metal-like appearance, and these visual qualities matter immensely at the top end of the market. Because buyers are not just purchasing a coin, they are acquiring beauty, history, and status, all wrapped into a tiny copper-colored disc that once had the same spending power as any other penny. Today, with a current market value reaching $779,345, the Liberty 1 cent 2012 stands as a powerful reminder that rarity is not always about age, and that modern US coins can rival classic rarities when the right factors align, making this coin a must-know piece for anyone serious about American numismatics, whether you are a beginner checking pocket change or a seasoned investor hunting for the next six-figure opportunity, because stories like this prove that treasures can still exist in the most unexpected places. As we wrap up this deep dive here on rare US coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most talked about modern Lincoln cents ever to catch the attention of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters alike, the Liberty 1 cent 2017 D, a coin that many people still overlook in their pocket change, yet one that has quietly built a reputation for being far more valuable than its face value could ever suggest. And as you watch this video, you may realize that a simple penny from 2017 could be one of the most exciting finds in modern US coin collecting history. The Liberty 1 cent, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, has been a symbol of American heritage since 1909, created to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth, and for more than a century this humble coin has traveled through wars, economic booms, recessions, and technological revolutions, carrying with it the story of the United States itself. And by 2017, the Lincoln cent had already transformed in metal composition, design details, and minting technology, yet the Denver Mint version of this year stands out in ways that continue to fuel intense collector interest and rising market curiosity around the world. The 2017 D Liberty 1 cent was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small but powerful D mint mark just below the date, and while millions were produced, not all 2017 D cents are created equal, because condition, strike quality, minting characteristics, and rare error possibilities separate ordinary cents from coins that collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for. And this is exactly where the magic of the 2017 D begins, as high-grade examples with strong luster, sharp details in Lincoln's portrait, and flawless surfaces are becoming increasingly difficult to locate as time passes and circulation wear takes its toll. In 2017, the U.S. Mint continued using the copper-plated zinc composition that has defined modern Lincoln cents since the early 1980s, yet despite this common material, the craftsmanship of a perfectly preserved 2017 D coin can be breathtaking, with brilliant red color, mirror-like fields, and razor-sharp design elements that make the coin appear almost metal-like. And when these coins are professionally graded and certified at the highest levels, they enter an entirely different universe of value where competition among collectors becomes fierce and emotional, often pushing prices to levels that surprise even experienced numismatists. Now let's talk about what everyone is really here for, the current market value, because this is where the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent becomes truly jaw-dropping, as elite examples tied to rarity, demand, and exceptional condition have been associated with an astonishing market value of $779,346, a number that seems impossible for a 1-cent coin. Yet in the world of high-end coin collecting, rarity combined with perfection has no ceiling, and when collectors believe a coin represents the best of its kind, price becomes secondary to ownership. The reason values can reach such extraordinary levels lies in the intense competition for top population coins, where only a tiny number exist in near-perfect condition, and as more collectors enter the market seeking modern rarities rather than only classic coins, attention has shifted toward issues like the 2017 D, especially those with exceptional eye appeal or unique mint characteristics, and once a coin becomes recognized as a modern icon, its value can accelerate rapidly, sometimes within just a few years. Adding even more excitement to the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent are the possibilities of mint errors and striking anomalies, because Denver minted cents from this era are known to occasionally exhibit off-center strikes, die cracks, double design elements, and other production quirks that turn an ordinary coin into a true one-of-a-kind collectible. And when such errors appear on a coin already popular with collectors, the result is explosive market demand and record-setting sales that continue to reshape how people view modern pennies. Beyond the money, the historical importance of the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent cannot be ignored, because it represents a time when physical currency was increasingly challenged by digital payments, yet the U.S. Mint continued producing coins that connect Americans to their past, and in many ways, the Lincoln cent became a symbol of resilience, tradition, and continuity, reminding us that even in a rapidly changing world, small objects can carry enormous cultural and financial significance. For collectors and investors watching the market closely, the 2017 D Liberty 1 cent has become a conversation piece, a coin that sparks debate, excitement, and speculation about the future of modern U.S. coinage. And as fewer pristine examples remain untouched by circulation, the pressure on supply only increases, pushing values higher and cementing this coin's status as a potential long-term powerhouse in the numismatic world. So the next time you see a 2017 D penny, do not dismiss it as spare change, because within that tiny copper-colored disc could be a story worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, a piece of American history, and a reminder that treasure does not always come in gold or silver. Sometimes it comes in the smallest denomination imaginable, waiting patiently to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. If you love learning about rare and valuable U.S. coins, hidden treasures in everyday change, and the stories behind America's most fascinating money, make sure you subscribe to Rare U.S. Coins. Hit